Well, hey there, and welcome to Wedding Planning Simplified. Happy Wednesday. I'm Amy from Unmistakably You, and I'm here today with Rebecca from Unmistakably You slash Rebecca Nash Photography. How's it going, Rebecca?
Great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I have my tea, although it's not caffeinated. I'm just trying to pretend it's going to give me a pick me up. There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, thank you for joining us tonight. It's always good when there's somebody besides me whose voice is going out there into the ether. If you're watching us tonight, thank you for joining us. If you're catching us on the replay, thanks for catching up after the fact. As always, if you have any questions about anything we say, or you want to plug a comment in, or just even say hi, it's always nice to know that somebody is watching. But we go live every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock to talk about something that's hopefully relevant to your wedding planning that hopefully helps reduce your stress. And so tonight, we are here talking about something that's pretty important to a lot of people, which is how to make sure your photos don't suck, which I think is probably something most people want. So, um, we're just going to kind of have a little conversation about some things to think about and some ways to approach predominantly the hiring of your photographer and the overall structuring of your day. We're not going to really jump into like your hair, your makeup, your attire, your posing, like all of that sort of nuts and bolts stuff of how you physically appear on your day is something that we've tackled at different times and we'll probably tackle again. But we just wanted to kind of cover today the sort of fit with the photographer kind of ideas. So we know that everybody has different priorities when it comes to their wedding planning, and if photos are a priority for you, I think that you are in good company. A lot of people put a pretty heavy emphasis on photos because realistically they're what lasts after the wedding day. You'll wash your makeup off, your flowers will die. Rebecca and I have a good florist friend who is very fond of saying, "You'll poop out the wedding meal and then it's gone." And that's maybe not the way I would phrase it, but Rosemary, if you're listening, hi.
It's funny because I actually have a very similar thing that I talk about with my clients, depending how polite I am being that day. That I always say the day after your wedding, the flowers have died, the food have been pooped out, the music is over, and the things you have left are your spouse and your photos, and you kind of want them both to be good.
Exactly. I think maybe we're going to stop talking about like what happens to the food after the wedding, and we're just going to move on from there. So a lot of people do place a lot of emphasis on the photography, and it's something that you're going to be able to put in an album and flip through with your kids and your grandchildren and hang up on the wall. And so it is something that most people want to have, a beautiful record of their wedding day. And so for that reason, it's usually beneficial to invest in the best photographer that you can afford. And, we recognize that everybody gets their start somewhere. And so amateur photographers, I mean, somebody's got to give them a chance, absolutely. But if photography is a priority, perhaps let someone else give those amateur photographers their start. I know that we recently chatted with a member of the group who was quite unhappy with her wedding photos, and it was because her fiance had kind of insisted, I think, that they hire a friend. And so frienders, we like to call them, are dangerous in weddings for a lot of reasons. When you bring a friendship into a working relationship on an emotionally charged day, it has the potential to be a little bit of a dangerous situation. So generally speaking, my first tip would be to hire the best photographer that you can afford. And Rebecca, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but
I was actually just talking about this with a client just before we met here, and I was meeting with them in person. We were chatting about their photography. They had already had a engagement session with another photographer, and they were trying to figure out what was best for their day. And it was the same thing that you're saying: find somebody you feel comfortable with, but look at investing your money into the things that are going to last so that your photos do stand the test of time, so that you have these moments captured in a way that you're always going to look back fondly on.
Absolutely. And you just actually touched on another point that I wanted to make, which was that you want to meet in person with any potential photographer that you're considering hiring. And this is something that I know you feel strongly about as well, Rebecca, because it's so dependent on personality. If you spend 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 hours on your wedding day with your photographer and they piss you off, or they irritate you, or you don't really jive with them personality wise, it's going to show on your face and in your eyes in your photos. And so I would really advise you to sit down personally, like you just said, Rebecca. I mean, if you can possibly, if you're in the same city, have a coffee date, go to their studio, sit down and have a face to face. Second best option is a Zoom consult, but you want to make sure that you are interacting with that person face to face or face to Zoom so that you can really establish whether or not your personalities mesh.
Absolutely. Like I said, I meet with all my clients in person. I advise the same. On your wedding day, there's two professionals that are going to be with you throughout the entire day. That's going to be a coordinator, someone like Amy or someone from the team from Unmistakably You, and your photographer. All your other vendors kind of come and go. They come do their small
Mhm.
part and leave. But those that you're going to spend the most time with, the personality really is such an importance to your experience of the whole day.
For sure. And that personality can either add stress to your day or it can add joy. It can be relaxing. It can draw out the best in you and your partner. And if you really feel comfortable with that person, and kind of like side note addendum, if you have the opportunity to do an engagement session prior to the wedding with your photographer, that's another really great way to for them to get to know you and vice versa, so that you have that added layer of comfort on the day of the wedding, so that you're not stressed out about, oh, what if they ask for a pose that doesn't flatter me, or what if I feel awkward, or it gives you that first kind of like trial run. So if you can do that, it lets you get a little bit more comfortable with that person. And it also lets the photographer know what is going to look best in your wedding photos on the day.
Absolutely. That's what I was just going to say is as well as getting comfortable, it's a great way for them to see which styles of images you like best. And let's be real, we all have things about ourselves we don't feel the most comfortable with, and it's different for each person. Yeah, I was doing the exact same thing. I was like, gotta watch my chin. Uh, and by doing an engagement session, you have a chance to work with that photographer and know the way they're going to direct you so that you feel comfortable on the day of, but also they get to know which styles of photos, which types of poses work best for you and that you feel most comfortable with, and you like the way they look afterwards. And I'm seeing actually in the comments, we do have Alyssa here, and she's saying the
Hi,
same thing.
Alyssa.
Alyssa was saying the same thing, that working with a photographer that they had done shoots with, it meant they got more out of their photos and more comfortable. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and beautiful photos, Alyssa. Oh my gosh, you look so hot in
Yes.
that dress. The picture you posted the other day, very, very nice shot. Okay, so moving on. In line with sitting down and meeting with the photographer that you're considering face to face, that's a really great opportunity to look through multiple volumes of their work. Unfortunately, there have been instances in the past. I've been doing this a long time, and I can remember a number of years ago, there was one photographer that cropped up here in London who it was brought to light a little bit later was using stock images and stolen images on their website. And so they had what looked like a beautiful put together website. It looked like they were professional and capable and talented, and all of the images were stolen. So make sure that you're not just relying on a few images that you've seen from one wedding. Make sure that you're looking at multiple weddings, engagement shoots, family shoots, so that you can get a good sense of the overall style of that photographer. And if you're sitting down meeting in person, look through sample albums that they have or galleries of an entire wedding from start to finish, so that you're not just seeing the very best photos that they've pulled from a stack of mediocre ones. You want to make sure that they have consistency across all of their work and that you are attracted to all of their work. Photography is a very specific stylistic thing. And if you don't like the style of someone overall, it's not going to change in your wedding photos on your wedding day. So make sure that you like a large quantity of their work and that you've seen many different examples.
I couldn't say it better myself.
Oh, well, there we go. It's almost like we agree on things. Amazing. Oh, there was another crazy photographer group in London. I can't see who's making this comment, but yeah. Oh boy. Do your homework, meet the person, see their work. And to add to that, actually read reviews. They're not foolproof though. Just be cautious about reviews. They can be fabricated or manipulated to look better or worse than they are. But definitely make sure that you do your homework. It's also not a bad thing actually to ask for personal references. You know, if there's a past client or clients that a photographer can share that's willing to have a conversation with you, just a 3-minute phone call. Oh, yes. Yes. I'm just
And
watching
that's
the
our friend
comments
Christian
here.
that's actually commenting.
Oh, hello, Christian. How's it going? So yes, do your homework, meet the person, see a large amount of their work and read the reviews. And then in terms of things to kind of not do in preparation for your wedding day, I know that everybody wants to be completely organized and prepared for every situation, and you want to make sure that that you have all of your ducks in a row. But one thing I think, I mean, I'm not a photographer, but I certainly have talked to a lot of photographers who would really prefer that you do not give them a list of 350 must-have photos. This is the same reason you don't give your professional DJ a list of the top 100 songs that you must hear. It's because it limits their creativity, right? You've hired a professional DJ to play to your crowd. You're hiring a professional photographer to capture the organic images and moments and emotions that are going to happen on your wedding day. You don't want them to have their face buried in a list all day and miss some special moment that happens because they're trying to tick off Pinterest image number 75 and Pinterest image number 83. And oh, we got to make sure we get the shot of, you know, like the flowers doing this and the, you know, it limits the creativity of the photographer, and it you run the risk of missing some pretty important moments.
Absolutely. And of course, when we're saying this, having a family shot list so that we know which
Mm,
family members, we are not saying don't do that. Definitely do that. We
yes.
want to know who is important to you on that. But when it comes to the creative photos of your day, we want to know, yes, we need to get a photo with Aunt Susie, or there's this special item on a table and it has special meaning you might not realize. So please grab something of that during the
Mhm.
day. Definitely let us know that. But like Amy said, if we are so busy trying to check off a list of exact shots you want, unfortunately, we're never going to be able to exactly replicate those shots because you're not going to be at the same location at the same time of day with the same weather, the same light, all of the things to make those exact same shots happen.
Mhm.
However, if you do want to give your photographer an idea of what kind of shots you like, here's a tip that was given to me that I absolutely love. Instead of making a Pinterest board of 360 different images you want from the day, pick 2 to 5 of that photographer's images that you're like, I really love this when you do it. I really love this style of sunset photo that you do. Choose it from your photographer. So whether that's myself, someone else, go to their website, go to their portfolio and show them a few of your favorites that you're like, I'd love to get something with this kind of vibe. And that will give us a really good starting point.
I love that. Thank you for highlighting the family photos and the detail shots thing, because those are, I mean, your photographer is not clairvoyant. They don't know all of the family groupings that you're going to need. So you need to make sure that you provide a curated list of family photos, because it's going to save you time, and make sure that you don't forget to put your stepbrother in the photos like I almost did at my wedding. So make sure that you do that. And then those special details, like I had a bride once who had a heart cut out of the fabric from her dad's wedding tie and sewn inside her dress lining. And how would a photographer ever know to capture that if you didn't highlight it before the fact? But what I'm saying, and what Rebecca is saying as well, is just like, don't go overboard with the, I want this shot replicated and I want this shot replicated and I must have this. Small lists, but lists are good with people and important details to capture. And that kind of plays into the communication piece as well. I know, Rebecca, this is something that you feel pretty strongly about, making sure that you communicate with your key people prior to the day about expectations and timing.
Yeah, this is something that I always advise for my brides to do. I do a lot of communicating with them. So, of course, communicating with your photographer about what you're looking for, how you want things to flow, what your timing is like for the day. Because if you have not gotten a coordinator, then, well, first, just get the coordinator. I say that both as a photographer and as a bride who was silly enough to think she could do it without one. It makes the day so much smoother. But if you don't, make sure you're communicating with them, because it's hard to understand sometimes, if you haven't been at a wedding day, how long different parts of the day, especially around photography, are going to take. So you don't want to be thinking that bridal party photos are going to take 5 minutes and then your bridal party can go and drink the night away. Well, no, actually, we might need more like 20 minutes, half an hour. And if they have unreal expectations, you're going to find very quickly they are tuning out and no longer interested, and you're not going to get those key photos that are important to you. The same thing with family, to let them know, hey guys, we're going to be doing photos right after the ceremony. These are the people that I'm going to need for it. And I'm going to ask you to be patient. My photographer has a list and they're going to work through to make sure we've got all the groups. But if you can just hang out close by and just keep your ears open for your name, we'd really appreciate it. You might even want to consider finding someone who is not in the wedding party, not in the immediate photos, family photos, but knows everybody from the immediate family photos. They are a fantastic key person to coordinate with your photographer to say, oh, who do you need next? Okay, I'm going to grab this one. Can you get Uncle Bob and Aunt Sally? They're going to be in the next photo, and they can help to kind of herd the cats to get through those photos as quickly as possible, which both your guests, your photographers, and yourselves will thank you for.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up the Uncle Bob thing, because I mentioned that last week, how Uncle Bob tends to beeline for the bar if he hasn't explicitly been told that he is supposed to stay for extended family photos. So yeah, I think overall, the most important things you can do to make sure that your photos are great is to hire the best professional you can afford. Make sure that your personality meshes and that you've seen lots of their work. Make sure that you trust them to do their job. Don't try to micromanage them by making lists upon lists upon lists. And then just communicate with your photographer, your fiance, your family, your wedding party, and that's going to help your day go smoothly and make sure that those photos in the end are really beautiful and something that you are going to treasure for a lifetime. So Rebecca, I know that you have a couple of resources to share with anyone who might be tuning in or catching us on the replay.
Yes. So actually, this is something that's really important to me. I always tell my clients that I want you to find the right photographer for you. That may or may not be me. And I don't take offense either way. So I always advise them to look at the 4 Ps. So I'm actually going to drop in the comments below a link where you can go and download my free guide on the 4 Ps to choosing your photographer. Most of them we have talked about really well tonight, but it's just going to be a great little reminder that as you meet with different photographers, you'll know exactly what you should be looking for to find the right fit for you. And that's not necessarily the right fit for your best friend, your maid of honor, your best man, your mom. Find the one that's the best fit for you.
Absolutely. Love that. Love free stuff. Thank you for sharing. So make sure that you grab that free download from Rebecca Nash Photography, and make sure that you join us here next week. We're going to invite you to grab a glass of your favorite libation and join some members of the team. We're not able to get the whole team together, but quite a number of us actually will be here next Wednesday at 8 p.m. for our wedding season wind down. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Names will be omitted to protect the guilty. And we're just going to kind of hit the highlights and the lowlights of the wedding season. So it should be a good time. I'll be here probably with a Chardonnay, and I hope to see you all here then. So Rebecca, I'll be seeing you then as well. But before then, I'm sure also. But thank you for joining me here tonight. It's been really great to kind of hit the top things you want to think about when you're hiring photographers.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been a great conversation. And of course, guys, if you have more questions for Amy or for me, drop them into our Wedding Planning Simplified group, and we'd love to chat with you more there.
Sounds awesome. Have a great week and happy planning. Take care, everybody. Bye.